Ladies and gentlemen, this RickGaming.com video. There is a piracy technique that has been discovered for the PlayStation 4, and indeed companies in Brazil are actually charging customers around $100 to $150 to not only crack the system, but to also install 10 pirated games on your console. So what is this and how does it work? It's very important to point out that this has been confirmed as real. And in fact, Sony are considering taking legal action against the whole situation. Journalists at a well-respected website in Brazil known as UOL Jogos, I have no idea how to pronounce that correctly, so apologies. They've actually confirmed this hack is real. They actually tested it on a verified console, which is in Portuguese in terms of their article. And then it's a fairly simple but ingenious process. From what we gather, there's a dump of the legit console, so they'll basically dump all of the games, and on top of that they'll also take a dump of the NAND/BIOS. Now, if this is actually true, it would actually appear that they're utilizing a regular Raspberry Pi to do this. There is a little bit of confusion, however, because people on the PlayStation 4 hacking scene have actually known about various techniques that have been patched in since 2.51, where Sony found out some vulnerabilities and sorted them out. But it seems that the techniques being used in Brazilian stores is slightly different from that, and thus Sony have not actually patched these problems, and thus they have already sent out a cease and desist email to say, hey, you know, you kind of can't do that to our system. To be totally honest about this, the next generation consoles having a Commodore Forever / Xbox 360 flash type of situation where so many people can flash the system without too much trouble is probably eventually going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow, I'm not saying it's going to be 6 months from now, but eventually it's going to be fairly easy to crack the system, I imagine. And ignoring the piracy aspect of it, it could be extremely interesting from the homebrew perspective, because you could potentially be running all sorts of different things. Now, personally, I'm not a massive fan of homebrew on consoles, particularly for the next generation. I don't necessarily think it's going to be that interesting, because effectively they are, well, lower powered PCs, so in my mind that's kind of what I would do. I would just buy a cheap media system and utilize that. But I guess to some people it's kind of cool, and it's also nice for programmers and developers, if they're interested in that type of thing, to actually start kind of fiddling with the system and get an understanding of maybe developing for consoles. As for this particular case, Brazil and piracy go hand in hand. In fact, there are reports of around 50% of software being pirated, and it's certainly not the only country or region in the world where piracy is rampant. Even China, for example, has massive amounts of piracy, and that's one of the reasons that traditionally certain operating systems and pieces of software, games, and so on, are kind of cheap there, simply because they're trying to reduce the chance of someone actually pirating the damn thing. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.